This is KCR, the sound of state.
Are on. Hey everyone, this is KCR's College Radio. You're listening to KCR, the award-winning sound of state, and the show Tishtalk. I'm your host, Tishamora, and if you tuned in last week, you will know that this is the entertainment/variety TV show radio show where each week we talk about a different topic having to do with entertainment. And this week, I am actually joined by someone who has been to KCR before, my coworker and friend, Arlene. Say hi, Arlene.
Hello, people of Radioland.
Hello. So, to kind of kick things off, first of all, you have been here before.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know or tuning in for the first time, I used to host a show last semester called Bingeworthy. And on my solo episode last semester, she joined me last semester, and we talked about conspiracy theories, specifically aimed towards 90s TV shows, which is kind of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about 90s shows. We're going to talk about our childhood, kind of how that pertains in entertainment, and maybe we'll see where that conversation goes. But before we get to that, Irene, can you tell me? Well, obviously your name's Irene. Tell me what you are what are you up to nowadays? I guess how we know each other would be the next thing after that, and a little bit out about yourself. So, yeah, yes, you.
Well, I'm not Irene, but okay.
I said Arlene, not Irene.
You said
I say Irene? I'm sorry, Arlene. There's only Arlene and myself in the studio.
Well, my feelings are a little hurt now.
I'm sorry. Slip of the tongue. Excuse me. But yeah, please, by all means, tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself, what you're doing nowadays, and how we know each other, essentially.
Well, we met each other through work at the wonderful Barnes & Noble Ote Ranch. If you need a book, go there. Hey, free promo.
Free promo. Yes, absolutely.
I forgot how we started talking. I think it was about we were bugging one of our coworkers, and we just kind of clicked through that, which is...
Was it Andres?
Yes, of course it was Andres.
Oh, Andres. Shout out to Andres, who refused to make it today.
That's why we bug you so much, because you don't want to hang out. But
it's out of love. Just know that. It's out of love.
We love you so much.
Alrighty, so obviously we work with each other. What are you up to nowadays there at work?
99.9% of the time my life is spent at work because I'm a full-time cashier. So I deal with all the customers that come through. Most of them are pretty nice.
Nice.
Some of them are just okay.
Okay. All right. Well, so kind of let's tie it in. So
okay.
I said we're going to be talking about 90s shows today,
yes.
right? So to start off, what would you say? Let's start off with what was your favorite? And this question kind of goes out to anybody who is listening. First of all, before we get into it, if you're listening and you kind of want to interact with us on air, I have a Twitter account. It's KCR's Tishtalk, so KCRTISH Talk. On Twitter, tweet at us any questions, requests, or if you want to answer the questions that we will be answering on air, and you want to have a shout out, tweet me on there. I'll definitely see it. Maybe we'll give you a shout out every now and then. Or if you'd like to call throughout the show, studio phone is 619-594-6982. And give us a call. We'll have a nice conversation with you, keep it PG kind of thing. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. So to kick things off, let me start off by saying, since we're going to talk about 90s shows, and it's like 90s to like early 2000s.
Nostalgic shows.
Nostalgia. That's what we're going to roll with it today. I know I got a little bit of like whiplash, I guess, or like commentary that it's like the stuff that I post about kind of promoting for today. Was it technically 90s? And I'm like, well, yeah, but then if you think about...
It's for all the 90 babies out there.
It's the 90 babies, and it just associates within that. So I would say, like, because I would post pictures about, like, Cartoon Network, the old Disney shows, Nickelodeon, obviously. So out of the three, I'll give you those three. what would you say had the most significant impact in your life growing up? Was it Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, or Disney?
Growing up,
For you, because it's different for everybody.
it probably has to be between Cartoon Network and Disney, because Cartoon Network, those are all the weird random shows come from.
I
And
mean,
that's
Disney had their, or not Disney, Nickelodeon had their fair.
Yeah, but I was never a really big Nickelodeon child. I was more in the Cartoon Network because I found it more odd, and I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And Disney, they taught me them good life lessons.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. So for Cartoon Network, what would you say was like your favorite? Like, if you had to pick a 90s shows to come back, this is a little bit of a segue. If you were to pick a 90s show to come back now and do it properly, what would you say would be like your favorite thing? Like your most favorite 90s show to come back now? What would your top pick?
Favorite.
Most favorite, top favorite.
For Disney, it'd probably be Kim Possible, because it's Kim Possible. And for Cartoon Network, why am I going blank right now? Dexter's Laboratory.
Dexter's Laboratory. Very nice. All right. I would say that those are both very definitely. For Disney, I would definitely. My answer would be Kim Possible for sure. I would say for Cartoon Network, I wish they would redo it because they've already kind of done it. But Powerpuff Girls, but they didn't really do it right. Well, I mean, like, okay, no, I'm sorry, not right, but the way that they have kind of done that, as well as like Teen Titans Go. And I was actually having this conversation with one of my friends last night. They kind of have like turned it into a very kiddish, which I guess that's their target audience. But then you have a lot of audiences coming in who have watched it growing up. And
it's just so different, and it's a little cringy. It's cringy.
A little bit, I would say. I would say that it's too much. Like, you know how, like, for example, because I know we watch a lot of cartoons.
Yes.
I would say it's like the equivalent to the type of TV shows they have now that are like Clarence or
Uncle Grandpa.
No.
So Good Morning.
And then if you look at the TV shows that we've grown up with too, citing Nickelodeon as an example, I know I saw an advertisement recently where Fairly Odd Parents like literally does not have Timmy anymore.
What?
Yeah, it's like Cosmo and Wanda and then this new girl, and everyone's like, where's Timmy though? Like, Timmy is the guy who's always been there.
Is it like his daughter or something?
No,
is
it's just
the
like,
future.
No. It's just another girl. And they had like kind of segued her into the show recently too, but like the new advertisements doesn't even have Timmy at all.
I don't
And I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy. Like, you don't. I feel like with Nickelodeon, you have characters that have established themselves as the main character. Like SpongeBob, you're not going to take SpongeBob out of SpongeBob SquarePants because that's SpongeBob. Given that it's also the name of the show, but I would say that's the same kind of caveat that you would have for Fairly Odd Parents or typically other shows like that have already established a main character, unless they kind of segue them out, not kind of be like, okay, well, here's a new character. Like,
you just automatically.
Yeah, that's not how it works. At least for me, I feel like it's kind of not really tactful on their part, because now you have like the older audiences being like, what happened? Like, where's my childhood? Where's my childhood, essentially? So I would say that is a very interesting thing, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I really want to get into today. Like, because obviously we're going to take down like a trip down like memory lane and talk about our favorite TV shows and stuff like that. Growing up, I actually didn't have cable, so I did not really get to watch a whole lot of Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. Like, eventually later on, closer to the early 2000s, I did. But growing up, I actually lived off of Disney primarily. Not the TV shows, but obviously like the movies and stuff like that. Disney, as well as PBS, like PBS Kids. Dude, that used to be my channel. I talked about it last show kind of, but one of my favorite shows that I used to watch was Zoom. I would say, like, have you ever? Okay, well, did you used to watch PBS Kids growing up, or nah?
I watched it, but I don't remember Zoom.
Zoom was like it was like, it wasn't a cartoon. It was like a live action, quote unquote live action, where like a bunch of like these kids get together. They're wearing like bright orange shirts, and then it's like essentially like what Pinterest would have been if it was a TV show for kids. Not gonna lie, but it's like very scientific stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting. But besides that, I would watch like Oh gosh, I'm blanking. Zaboomafoo was one of them. Zaboomafoo. Dragon Tales.
Dragon Tales.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, was that right? Dragon Tales. Caillou. That was one. Arthur. Those were the stuff
Arthur
that I grew up
memes,
with.
though.
Yeah. I know. So like, seeing all the Caillou and Arthur memes coming back, I was like, yes. But that's definitely like primarily where I grew up. And then in the Disney side, and I was talking to my mom about this recently because this last night / early morning, I saw that Disney put out kind of like a little like letter or like a statement where they're bringing back one of like my most favorite movies growing up, and it's called and I'm pretty sure you've seen it or / heard of it, Mary Poppins. Yes, when I was a baby, I used to watch the original Mary Poppins. We used to have it on VHS. I watched it so many times where I literally broke the VHS because I kept playing it over and over again. I loved it. I love the music. I think it was like one of the biggest things that kind of segued me into love for music, given that I don't really pursue it now. But like in elementary school to like high school, I used to be in like music classes. I used to be in band. Shout out to all my band friends listening. If you're listening, tweet at me. For all those good memories we used to have. Oh no. Ooh. But yeah, I would say that like Mary Poppins is probably like one of the first things that significantly established something in my life, which was music. And so seeing it now, what really got me hype was when I was reading the statement, and obviously the person I had gotten it from on Twitter. Have you seen Hamilton or heard of the music? Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We work together, so of course you heard the music.
I've heard the music.
You heard the music. You've seen the stuff on there. So Lin-Manuel Miranda, who played Hamilton and produced Hamilton, wrote the music for it. Also wrote the music for Moana recently. He was also in, oh gosh, I don't remember. He was in he's famous on Broadway. Yeah. But he recently, his last thing he did was write the music for Moana and produce it. And so he's actually going to be in Mary Poppins. I think he's either in it or he's producing the music again, both of which I will be completely happy with. Emily Blunt's going to be in it. Gosh, I'm trying to think of who else. There's like a whole lineup. If I can pull it up, let me see. There's Ben Whishaw. I don't know who that is. Emily Mortimer from Hugo. Julie Walters from the Harry Potter film. Ooh, I should know who that is, but I don't know. Colin Firth is going to be in it. And Meryl Streep. Dick Van Dyke is going to come back, and he's going to like I don't think it's the same character, but it's probably just going to be like a cameo. Yeah. He was the one, if I am remembering correctly, Dick Van Dyke, he played the chimney sweep. Yeah, that guy. The one who did like the paintings on the floor.
Beautiful paintings that I always wanted to jump into as a kid.
Yeah, so, you know, there's going to be a lot of, and then there's people from like Miss Peregrine's Home for Children, Nathaniel Saleh from Game of Thrones, for those of you guys who watch. I don't know who that is. Pixie Davies. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of people. There's a lot of, okay. Thank you to Cameron, who's telling me right now. Julie Walters, I'm so sorry for all my Harry Potter fans. I like blanked on this. Played Molly Weasley in the Harry Potter, right? So I'm like, oh! And then also Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I'm sure he will still be having a say in the music. He's going to be playing Dick Van Dyke's character, who was the chimney sweep. Okay. So all really exciting things for me when I heard about this. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like my childhood. I get to break the DVD for this now, watching it over and over again. Or
please don't break anything.
So I'm really excited to see that kind of coming back, and it's one of the few reboots that I'm actually like, this is going to be really cool. There's people outside the window looking at me. Sorry, distraction. But yeah, it's one of the reboots that has happened recently that has been announced that I'm like, this is going to be really cool. Given that there have been a lot of Disney's obviously very kind of like putting their feet into the water of having live action, which they have done recently. They started off with Maleficent, I think was the first one.
Was it Maleficent?
I think so. Or well, technically Alice in Wonderland was. Yeah. But that was before they're like, we're going to be doing live actions of Disney. So, okay, so technically we'll say Alice in Wonderland was technically the first one. Then Maleficent. Then Cinderella. Obviously, I think in March, Beauty and the Beast is coming out. Which I'm
excited for that one.
I'm really hyped for that one too. And then they've announced a bunch of... they had Jungle Book. And they've announced a bunch of others. I'm pretty sure... I wrote it down. They have... Mulan is in the air. They did Pete's Dragon, which I don't think did very well, unfortunately. Sorry. But some of the other ones that they've announced besides Mary Poppins being their most recent. Dumbo is one, Little Mermaid, Cruella de Vil, which is going to be the 101 Dalmatians. There was a rumor that Emma Stone was going to play her, which I would be like, yes.
In Cruella de Vil?
Yeah, like
What?
she would be playing Cruella de Vil. There was a rumor a while ago. I don't know how true it is now, but I think with her success in La La Land, it's kind of like it would be realistic if they did. There's also Aladdin, Tinkerbell, Peter Pan, Winnie the Pooh, Snow White, which is pretty likely, and Lion King actually. And given that Jungle Book, who I believe Jon Favreau, he did Jungle Book recently. He was the director for that, and he's also done a lot of the Iron Man movies. He's very trusted with the projects, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw his name again on the Lion King one. So, out of all the ones that I listed that are possibilities, what would you say is your the one that you anticipate the most? What are you hyped for?
What am I hyped for?
What are you hyped for?
Probably Mulan.
Mulan.
Yeah.
I am too. I have mixed feelings though, because a lot of people, I remember that when they signed over a script for it, they were saying that and we are going into like controversial waters. It kind of comes into the question of like Asian representation in Hollywood, and how constantly you have movies that kind of look over it and they don't really do a really good job at it. Like, for example, that recent, I think it's called The Great Wall. It's a movie that's going to be coming out in I think this month or the next, where it's basically about the Great Wall of China, but your main protagonist is this white male played by
I think it's
Matt Damon.
For that. Yeah.
So people are like, why is it about the Great Wall of China and you have all these Asian actors around you, and yet you establish Matt Damon as the main character? Like, why? Like, what are you doing? Exactly. So what a lot of people are worried about is Mulan being treated in that same way. And it's not like we don't have an abundance of Asian actors in Hollywood. We have plenty. I can't think of... the person I think of right away, which naturally is my response, is Ming-Na Wen, because she is the original voice actor for Mulan.
Yeah.
Given that she is a bit older, I don't know if they'll let her reprise her role. However, that would be so cool if she did. I would say she should at least have like a cameo or like a...
Yeah.
Like...
Honor her in some sort of way. You got to.
Honor her. Haha. I see what you did there, even if you didn't mean it. I would say, oh, dude, that'd be so cool if she actually put her as a matchmaker. That'd be funny.
Oh my god.
It'd be funny. It'd be perfect. It'd be like everything I ever hoped for.
Disney, if you're listening, take our
right?
advice.
Yeah, Disney, for whatever reason you're listening. I would say, I think, and I remember I talked about this last on Bingeworthy when I used to do our show with Kentaro. I remember we were talking about like fan casting, and Jamie Chung was one of them, who I think she actually plays Mulan. If I'm thinking of the right Jamie Chung plays the Mulan in Once Upon a Time, and she's amazing at it. I would be really cool to see her actually be in the Disney movies. So, and obviously you have who would play Shang, who would play the guy. So a lot of people are worried because it's like, I think when the script came out, going back to the script, when the script came out, I think people were worried because it wasn't really about Mulan, or it was about, again, a male protagonist or a white male protagonist coming in and kind of being like, oh, I'm going to save China. Oh, look, a girl happens to be Mulan. And then she happens to, it's stuff like that. They were being a little sketchy. That's not, don't quote me on that though. It's been a while since I've seen the script, or at least like the news about the script. But there was a time where people were like, hey, Disney, what are you doing? And Disney's like, no, we just signed over for that script. That's not the final script. They're going to go through. They're going to rewrite stuff. They're going to do whatever. And to this day, I don't think they've really announced who will be playing Mulan or who they have cast. And I don't even think there's a date out yet. But it's just like, it's in their lineup of things that they want to do. But I'm excited as you are. I just hope
they do it right.
They do it right. That's like the most important thing to me, is that they need to do it right.
They do it right. That'll be amazing.
Yeah. Given that, like, they did Moana great. I think Moana is like a great example of being able to accomplish having enough representation of a race in Disney, in Hollywood, and in their movies. They did an amazing job. And like the way that the directors, because the way the directors did it, I remember seeing like videos for it. Like they actually went to the places that were based upon like Motunui, and like, yeah, they did their homework. So I'm like hoping whoever does the live action for Mulan, as well as the other movies that have different representation of like of races, they do it right, because it's like you won't do anyone justice and you're gonna get a lot of whiplash for it. And like Disney is like a very big entertainment giant out there, so it's like, you want to do it right. They have the money to do it.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak for say like the other show, like the other industries that we grew up with, though, for in terms of like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, because I don't really think they have much to worry about. I think they're more concerned about making the content that they need to. So
I low-key think they're running out of some ideas.
yeah, I think so too. I would say Nickelodeon is kind of beginning to recycle, but in a good way. Like I remember at Comic-Con this year, they did actually like have, I think it was like a gigantic stage. Like their theme was 90s. They are bringing back stuff. For those of you who don't know, I don't have the dates unfortunately because I don't think they're up yet, or I just did not find them. They did announce that Hey Arnold is coming back. Hey Arnold is going to have a reboot in a form of a movie. But the way that they're going to reboot the movie is that they're going to pick off right where they left the series off and then go from there. And I think what I've heard so far is that it's going to discuss what happened to his parents. I want to say something about the grandparents and other characters who didn't really get much of a backstory. And then obviously the main characters as well. Yeah. But that's like the biggest thing I heard is that they're going to talk about Arnold's parents. I don't know if that's true or not. For anyone who's listening and has the actual links, please like send it to me, and so I can get the right information out correctly, because I would love to like actually know the correct stuff. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, but I would say it's like really, I'm iffy about it. I didn't really watch Hey Arnold growing up. I did, but not as like religiously as some other people. Yeah. But I know like the series was really good. It was very meaningful, so I'll be curious to see how they do. Did you kind of watch it?
I did watch Hey Arnold a lot when I was a kid, and I faintly remember a scene from, I think it was a movie where they do show Arnold's parents, and I was like, where'd they go though? What happened?
I heard rumors. I don't know if it's true or not. I heard from somebody. Are they kind of like safari?
I believe so. What I remember from them, they were like going on this adventure, and then they left Arnold with his grandparents. That's why he ended up there.
Okay, so they were kind of like explorers to an extent. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't really think of much else. Obviously, Nickelodeon is trying to kind of reboot. SpongeBob is still a thing, and they're still really popular. I would say. I mean, it is though. It's still out there, and it's been going for years. They still have the same people behind it too, which is really cool. Obviously we talked about Fairly Odd Parents and how that's going. They did attempt Rugrats at one point.
All Grown Up?
No. Yeah, All Grown Up. Yeah, right.
They had one episode on that, and that's what we discussed on the show last time I was here about the conspiracy theory behind it. That's why I didn't continue it.
Do you want to actually like? Before we get into anything else, tell me the conspiracy theories about. Let's talk about really quick before we get into more. Tell me more about like the conspiracy theories and I guess we'll start off with that with Rugrats. So what was the conspiracy theory behind that?
So, the conspiracy theory for Rugrats is that the babies were never really there. That Angelica basically made them up in her mind, because Tommy, I believe, was a stillborn. So
that's dark.
It's a conspiracy theory.
No, I know. Oh my god.
So his dad feels so much like he has this void. That's why he keeps on making the children's toys, trying to fill that void. Like, I was supposed to have a son, but I don't have one anymore. So I'm gonna try and make toys for other people's kids and things like that. I believe Chucky passed away with his mom.
Sorry, you said Chucky, and I thought about another Chucky that I don't like. I don't like that. That's why I was like,
Chucky Finster. Phil and Lil, I forgot what happened to them, but like their mom, like Angelica knew that their mom was pregnant, but something happened, but they never found out the gender of the baby. That's why there's two of them.
So it's kind of like,
so she has like, if it was a boy, this would be him. If it was a girl, that would be her. And the thing with Angelica, her past wasn't all that great. Obviously all her friends were never there. Her mom, the mom they show in the show, is supposedly a stepmom. And you guys all recall that little beat up ragged doll Cynthia that she carried around. That was supposed to represent her actual mom. Like, her mom had drug issues. She wasn't well. That's why Cynthia's in such bad shape, and she carries it around everywhere with her. That's like her trying to keep a hold of her mom. So obviously all the adventures you see, they're all in her head, and when they cut to Rugrats all grown up. That's her 13th birthday, and that's the year that she finally snapped. That's when everything hit her real hard, and she had killed herself. That's why there's no extra shows after that. That's why there's nothing continuing on, because obviously Angelica's gone, so the babies are gone as well.
Yeah.
It's really dark, but hey, conspiracy theories.
That's true. I would say that, like, was that the most, like, mind grab? I'm trying to think of, like, the other, because, like, if I think about, like, the shows and, like, how much conspiracy theories each kind of, at least in terms of, like, the big three, and the big three being Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney, the ones we keep talking about, I would say, like, Nickelodeon had a lot more of the darker ones. I mean, Disney really, there's so few, but Disney, like, the ones that I can think off the top of my head is the one that has, Walt Disney's cryogenically frozen in Disneyland somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
But in terms of, like, how, like, scary
And dark things
are, I would say Nickelodeon has the bulk of them. I have heard some of the more weird ones for Cartoon Network, kind of more like Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Like Pinky and Brain. Actually, that's one I can really think of right now. But, like, or I'm sorry, Animaniacs and, like, Looney Tunes and stuff like that. I've heard conspiracy theories. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But there are some for that. The most I've heard is for Nickelodeon, though.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's kind of scary because it's like you don't. I think for me, the one that I think about the most, or the one that comes to my mind when we talk about conspiracy theories, has to be the one about Squidward's death. I think, is that what it's called, Squidward's death, where it's based
Squidward's suicide.
Yeah, and so just by that name alone, it's dark and it's like scary, and it's supposed to be like this whole thing about obviously suicide. So it for me, it was kind of like, oh, those are terrifying.
That dark side of Nickelodeon, though.
Yeah, I mean, Cartoon Network has a dark side too, though.
But it's not as dark.
Not as dark. I would say one testament to it, to kind of seeing that, would be like Adult Swim, because technically that is an extension from Cartoon Network, or like they work together. And so I think one way to actually see how dark they can get, quote unquote dark they can get, is I think last week they announced a trailer, or they released a trailer, I think during the Super Bowl, I think, of Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack is coming back. Really? Oh, I'm gonna have to send it to you. I'll have to tweet it out so y'all can see it if you have not seen it already. Samurai Jack is getting a quote unquote reboot.
On Adult Swim.
On Adult Swim, not Cartoon Network. So what a lot of people are saying is that, and it's a limited series too. Yeah. So by that, from what I've heard, limited series means that they're going to try and see how they do with the reboot coming back for Samurai Jack. And I think it's supposed to pick up where the show had left off a little bit more in the future, but it's the same circumstance. It's not a complete, like, refresh of the show.
Yeah.
So obviously it being on Adult Swim, it will be darker. It will be... I mean, I'm pretty sure from what I remember, Samurai Jack, though, was kind of promoted later on in the day, or later on at night when it came to Cartoon Network, at least from what I remember. Like, it was shown closer towards, like, close to bedtime. It was, like, it was on when Toonami was on, so that's when I knew it was kind of, like, later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would say that the fact that Adult Swim picked it up, and they said it is, like, a limited series, two things. It means that it's going to be really... a dark, serious, which is appropriate, I think, for that type of scenario, as well as, like, the art looks amazing too, so I'm actually really excited for it. And then the second one thing is that the fact that it's a limited show and that they're trying to see how they do, it really kind of stresses the important. I mean, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm guilty of not watching shows when they air, but I compensate. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so bad at it, but I compensate by watching it on the like CW, for example. Yeah. They have an app, and I watch a lot of my shows after the fact on the app, so it at least kind of gives support their way, because the way that, like, they watch, like, the ratings and the viewings is that, and to continue a show rather than having it canceled, is to see how many people are actually tuning in on their television sets. Given that now online it's really hard for them to track that, because, you know, people can stream them for free, and / illegally, like, no problem at all. So, which is why I think they really kind of started creating apps for it. Like, CW has an app, ABC, Cartoon Network, I'm sure does. Actually, Cartoon Network does have an app. Yeah. So, the fact that they create the apps means that they kind of they can kind of gauge who's actually watching them on their apps. So, that's another way for them to track the viewers. But the fact that, like, Samurai Jack is a limited series, it kind of stresses that, like, if we are actually going to watch it and we actually genuinely like it, us as an audience, you have to be really good about
watching it
watching it and supporting it through this series. And so it'll be interesting to see how they do. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be really great. I hope they do well, because the trailer looked promising. Like 100%, it looked really promising, and I was like really glad. So we'll see how they do. But yeah. Any last thoughts? Any last thoughts on that one?
I'm just kind of happy that they are doing it on an Adult Swim, because I saw this picture on my Facebook today where it's like Samurai Jack holding this contract for the reboot, and then the Powerpuff Girls show up.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're like all memes, and they're all the newer generation of humor. It's kind of cringy, and he's like, nope, not going back to Cartoon Network. Let me go to Adult Swim instead.
Yeah, which is, it's true. It's sad, but it's like, I think I can trust Adult Swim to do my old 90s shows right, rather than Cartoon Network at this point. But we'll talk about, we'll see. We'll play devil's advocate for Cartoon Network to see. But right now we are going to go on a break, so we can kind of grab some water, accumulate our thoughts. I'm going to try and find I'll try and find the comic that we were talking about, as well as the Samurai Jack trailer. And if you guys have any more questions for us that you wanted us to talk about after the song break, tweet them at me at KCR Tishtalk. Also find me on Instagram. Eventually Facebook's going to come up. And also let me know where you'd like to see and hear more of this in terms of a platform. I'm still trying to figure that out. I know I mentioned it last show. I considered YouTube. I might try and look into iTunes again. I don't know. We're going to see, find out. But if you guys have any suggestions, send them my way. I will be more than happy to hear them. So our show break song thing for today is going to be Him for the Weekend by Coldplay. It's going to be the C remix, and we will be back in a few. Okay. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Bye, guys.
hello. So to kind of recap on what we were talking about, that's not the song I wanted to play, but we'll let that play anyways. Sorry. So to kind of talk about, to recap, what exactly what we were talking about? We're gonna defend Cartoon Network essentially. Do you think it deserves to be defended essentially? Yes or no? You personally?
Personally, I mean, some of the shows that they brought out, Steven Universe, awesome.
Yeah.
Like most adults like it. Like,
And that
can't go wrong with
That's
it.
actually perfect because I actually did want to talk about that.
Yeah, but like shows like Uncle Grandpa and Clarence, like they're not bad shows, but they have no meaning. They're just there to like
Pretty colors.
yeah, basically.
3-second
And-
flashes of whatever.
Yeah, and the
I agree.
reboots for Teen Titans and Powerpuff Girls, we remember them as these serious characters with actual dilemmas and
R.I.P.
things like
the
that,
originals.
and then they just they sing song about burritos
Yeah.
and like things like that. I'm like, what happened to my childhood? Like, this is legitimately disappointing in so many ways.
Yeah, and it's true. So I would say, I feel like in the quote unquote reboot arena,
Mhm.
Disney is probably doing the best. Then I guess Cartoon Network would be like a low second. Then
Well,
Nickelodeon
no.
would be third.
Nickelodeon is doing Full House.
Oh, that's true. I didn't watch Full House growing up, so I couldn't really say. Was there a lot of good things about the Full House reboot?
I enjoyed the Full House reboot. I'm not
Really?
sure about other people, but I enjoyed the first season, and I'm waiting for the second one. If it came out, I'm just really late on Netflix information.
I didn't watch it, so I couldn't really say. I know that there was like a little bit of controversy, but the fact that Netflix actually helped them premiere it means that they did a pretty good job, which is good. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, well, in that case, I mean, in Cartoon Network's defense, I know that, and I'll play devil's advocate here because I'm not happy with how they have rebooted some of the shows. They do kind of cater to a different audience now.
That's
Like they are
true.
they are technically catering to kids. Given that,
But we were kids when we watched it.
we were kids when we watched it. But it's funny because, and I think I shared this with my friend that I was talking about this with, and I will eventually find the video later today about it. There was an episode of Teen Titan Go, because sometimes it's just kind of on in the background, where I believe, oh man, I'm forgetting his name, but it's the villain who had the TV remote. Do you remember?
Control Freak.
Control Freak. So Control Freak,
I think I know what
it turns like super meta. It does, and it's basically like Control Freak in Teen Titans Go. This is like the reboot. They are talking about, oh, I turned you guys into a TV show. What? People are watching, and they begin to break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
But then they break it even further because he's like, yeah, you guys used to be like really good.
Like, you guys used to be amazing.
You guys used to be amazing. You guys actually like, what happened to like the type of shows that actually meant like actually had really good writing and content, and then they would show bits and pieces of the original Teen Titans.
And then my heart broke a little bit more.
Exactly. And then it's funny because they're like, wow, that's amazing. Like, what? That's so cool. Like, oh my gosh, like is that what like actual writing looks like? So they kind of know that like, yeah, this show's supposed to be really kind of like fun, poop joke, whatever. It's not
Yeah.
actually supposed to be a full series. Given that's kind of sad, but it's like they are catering to a different audience. However, to kind of turn that against them, you have shows like Adventure Time, Steven Universe. Those are like the biggest two. Gumball, kind of a little
in
bit.
there.
It's in there.
It's still,
Um,
I think they did it in a more tasteful way, like in between a Steven Universe and like Clarence. Like,
Yeah.
it's still comedy,
It's a
but they still
mix.
have like a little lessons in there.
They do, and I would say that, well, to give a little bit of context, the studio I can't really say for Gumball because I don't actually know, but under Cartoon Network there's a studio called Frederator Studios. Under Frederator Studios, they have produced shows for their first big one. I mean, they have done stuff again from our childhood. I remember one of the biggest ones being Chalk Zone from Nickelodeon.
I used to
They're behind that show. But for Cartoon Network's case, in this generation, they are the ones who produce Adventure Time. Pendleton Ward is underneath that studio. And underneath Adventure Time being one of the bigger ones, they have slowly let some of their creators go and have more creativity and create more shows. You have, obviously, Steven Universe is one of them. Rebecca Sugar was a creator. I believe she also writes the music every now and then for Adventure Time.
Yeah.
And she kind of has full range now with Steven Universe, which is an amazing show. It's cute, adorable, music is fantastic, and it has great meaning.
It gets so intense.
It gets really intense. Steven Vaughn will mess you up. I can't say anything because I'm really behind, but in my experience, It has messed you up. But, you know, that's an example of it. Obviously, Adventure Time has a lot of very serious... Like, at first, you're kind of like, this is weird and random of every episode. It's like 12 minutes long. But then, like, the more you watch it, you're more like, there's an actual plot. There's actual meaning and story to this. And so... And I think that's kind of like Frederator's Studios' thing. Because they also have stuff... They do a lot of online stuff, too. Like, they have Bravest Warriors on... Which is like a little, like, YouTube series that they have. That's... The art style is very similar to Adventure Time. I think it's the same person who did it, actually. I'm pretty sure Pendleton Ward did it. Iffy about that. But they also have, like, Bee and Puppy Cat, created by Natasha Allegri. Ooh, I could be mixing up names there. I don't really know if that's the same artist or I'm thinking of a comedian who has the same name. But look up Bee and Puppy Cat and you'll know what I mean.
We'll enjoy.
Yeah, so they have shows like that you can tell that has a very similar art style or a very particular art style, but they do have, like, they're cute shows, but they actually have meaning.
Yeah.
And I would say that is where Cartoon Network has to strengthen themselves rather than trying to bring back all these 90s shows that they think it's like, oh, the kids will love them. And then they're like, no, we like the old ones better. Like, you're killing us. Why?
My soul just died a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I would say that's their strong point. And I think Cartoon Network really should establish themselves in that department because they have already. And I think they're doing fantastic at that. By the way, I'm going to tweet out the scene from what I was talking about in Teen Titans. But what would you say in terms of, like, reboots versus, like, where they should strengthen? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where would you say that they kind of lay?
Reboots? Just no. Just a big no for the reboots. I'm sorry, Cartoon Network. I loved you when I was a kid, but you can't do that to my TV. You can't do that to my childhood.
I know. It's...
As for the shows they have now, I mean, for Clarence, I mean, they could possibly go into some good content with this, because, you know, you can go into some of the backstories of some of the characters and make it into a really good show. That's true. For Uncle Grandpa, I just don't know where that can go at all. Like, seriously, there's a talking pizza in it.
I know, right? It's true. I actually forgot one show, and you said Clarence, and it immediately reminded me. It is another one, a show underneath Frederator. I'm pretty sure Frederator were also, like, the same like group. Is Over the Garden Wall. Have you seen this show?
I've not seen the show.
You would love it.
But I know mashed potatoes and
molasses.
Yes, mashed potatoes and molasses.
Oh no, I forgot the song. Oh, shame on me. Yeah, something like that. Basically, it's another cartoon. They got a pretty good review on Rotten Tomato. They did, actually. I only remember this because at work I put the display up for it a long time ago. Yeah. But I would say that is an example of a more darker cartoon. It is a lot darker. There are a lot more conspiracy theories about that, which is great. I'm pretty sure it's under Federator Studios.
I need to look at that.
Positive. It's fantastic. It's a short series. I think it's only 10 to 12 episodes long. Oh, wow. The episodes are like 12 minutes each typically, but it's fantastic. It is very dark. Lots of it's like the polar opposite to what you would see in like Adventure Time, where Adventure Time and like Steven Universe is bright colors. Like I would just say Adventure Time is like associated with like bright colors, and then you have Steven Universe or like Bee and Puppy Cat is like pastel colors. I would say like Over the Garden Wall is very dark. There are like lots of blacks, grays, very dark colors that you wouldn't expect from a Cartoon Network show. I think they premiered it like as a Halloween special, which was a fantastic idea. And I would say that would be a great example of like the content they created there was amazing. I was like, whoa, like this is something I did not expect Cartoon Network to actually put out, because it is dark. It's like a little scary, honestly. But the concept of it was like fantastic. It's beautiful. So I would say that that's an example of something that they can try and do and create something new rather than, resort to the kiddie shows. And I feel like we're really hating on Nickelodeon or Nickelodeon too, because they kind of do that.
I haven't seen anything new from Nickelodeon.
Well, that's the thing, though. They don't really do anything new. It's more kind of like the same old. Again, I haven't watched it either. From what I've heard, though, whenever it comes into the news, it's like, what are they doing to Fairly Odd Parents? SpongeBob is still a thing. They have a bunch of live action stuff that I don't ever watch.
Oh yeah, huh? They're Disney and Nickelodeon are doing a lot more live action than they are cartoons, and
that's true. I mean, well, Disney has their own separate thing. They have Disney XD.
Oh, that's true.
One of the biggest things I remember recently from Disney XD was Gravity Falls. That was like one of the biggest things. They have another show going on, but I don't remember. Magical something girl. I don't know. If anyone knows what it is, please tweet it at me. I forgot. I'll look for it later. But they have that kind of in the same realm of it. I think it's a Disney XD. Okay. They dip into Marvel. Disney dips into Marvel, and they actually do a pretty good job from what I've seen and from like people like watching it and stuff. They have like Guardians of the Galaxy is a series after the movie came out. Amazing Spider-Man, Avengers, I believe, and yeah, I would say that. I'm trying to think of other cartoons. But what's interesting, I think, in terms of Disney is that they've been a lot more creative in terms of like who they have for the shows now, because they have a lot of like Viners and stuff like that on there.
Oh
so
my gosh,
they actually
Sanders.
do. Yeah, Thomas Sanders. So I would say my question to you that being, do you think that's a good idea that the online community is slowly beginning to leak into TV? What would you say about that?
For online community, I believe like some of them, yes, for sure. Like Thomas Sanders, if you haven't heard of him, he does those little narratives like narrating to people's lives, and he does a really good job. He's really fun, cute, and creative. And I think he should be like viewed in so much more television shows. But some of them just do like all the challenge shows, and I'm just like, maybe you're good for YouTube if you have your own show for challenges, and that's really cool. If not, then I don't know about that. But I just know Thomas Sanders for sure. If you're listening, shout out.
Shout out, mad shout out. I would say, I know what's his name. He's the name. Jake something. He has a Jake Logan or Jake no Jake Paul. I think because I only saw it just because I recognized him from Vine. And he was in a clip with Thomas Sanders where I think Thomas Sanders was like he was trying to use an air horn and he's like, it's not working, man. I'll do it myself. And he like starts screaming. Yeah. So you've seen the one I'm talking about. And I think it's really interesting. I think it's great to see people kind of jumping in and being like, you know, you're moving on from online community into actual TV, because they're you know, it's like one of the biggest ways that people can get recognized. And I think it's really interesting seeing that, given that some people are like, oh, look at these people giving up their online thing to go into, you know, TV. But like that caveat being like, you know, if they want to be actors, let them be actors.
Let them be themselves.
Which people. I think is, and I think it's really cool seeing that now, because that's something that in the 90s realm, we didn't have that, obviously, because internet was very new to us. Mm-hmm. And so now it being accessible, and now it kind of being able to kind of be like your YouTube or your Vine or your whatever is essentially your resume for people to look at and be like, that's really cool. And they're actually pretty good they're very creative. So they can make it out in the TV land, which I think is really cool. I would like to see more of it. I really don't know if anyone else is doing that besides Disney, though. I haven't really seen it in Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network.
That is very true.
At least I haven't. I guess you can't really see it in Cartoon Network, but I wouldn't really know, per se. No?
I mean, to be quite honest, the only person that I've heard of like going on TV shows was Thomas Sanders, because he posted about it on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's how I heard about it. I mean, I know some Viners and YouTubers are doing like movies. They're like, I think Jason Nash, I think his name was.
Who?
He's like an older Viner.
Is he the guy with the blue eyes and is like
has kids?
Yeah. Ooh, never mind. Thinking of the wrong person here.
I think you're thinking of Nash Greer.
Okay, I heard Nash. I was like, is that one kid?
I think his last name is Nash, but it's like his name is Jason. Why can't I
Jason Nash?
Yes.
There you go.
He made this movie. I forgot what it's called, but he's bringing like Vine actors into his movie.
Oh, that's cool.
So like they don't necessarily need a star in other people's shows. They can make their own from what I've seen.
That's true. I think, and again, kind of tie it back in, because we said we're going to talk about 90s in our childhood. I would say if I want to see anything created from our childhood, or like 90s shows and stuff that we grew up on, I'd like to see our generation be a part of that, because we grew up with it and we kind of knew what we, like the lessons we learned from that, we took from that, and we have established them as our own. And so obviously, for example, Thomas Sanders being like one of the biggest, I'd love to see him like somehow involved with like a reboot of like Disney and stuff, because you see him like constantly singing and like doing Disney pranks everywhere. So that's somebody who actually like fully does, like, he still loves that stuff that he grew up on. And obviously you see that with everybody else too. So I think it'd be really interesting to see if we were to see reboots coming as an actual production, whether it be on TV or if some people did like a mini series. I don't know how they would do that because that's a lot of whole copyright to get into. But if they were to somehow get into that, I think it'd be really interesting if they did that via the online community. I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be different. I think it would be a very modern way for them to handle reboots.
That's true, but I'm wondering, like, who would be casted as who and things like that.
Well, I think it just depends on what you're talking about in terms of what gets rebooted.
That's true. I don't know. I'm just like trying to picture certain biners.
Like
that in series right now.
I definitely agree. But for me, I feel like your creative minds and how you want to run it should stem from the generations that have grew up in that. So if you do a reboot, get the people who actually used to watch the shows and be like, okay, it's not going to be picture perfect. It's not going to be an exact replica. Yeah. But let's bring back the things that you grew up on and you liked from the series and incorporate that into this reboot. I think that's what all the production studios that are trying to do that now really need to look at. Because if it has instilled enough in the audiences that used to watch it before, what's to say it won't do it in the newer ones, in the younger minds that watch it now?
That's so true.
This is very true. I would like to think it is. That's just my opinion. I would love to hear yours, obviously, if whoever is listening. I think someone tried to call earlier. I don't really know what happened.
Call back
if you want. We are going to wrap up soon in a few minutes or so. But, I mean, if you want to have a quick conversation with us, Twitter's probably the best way at KCR's Tishtalk. And the studio phone is 619-594-6982 if you want to give us a call there. Again, we're going to wrap up pretty soon. But if you guys tweet at us anything you'd like to hear on the air or, want us to bring up, I will bring it up. And to kind of, again, tie that into it, my friend Cameron from New York tweeted at me, to kind of talk about reboots as well as kind of also dips into recasting. He asked me, Halloween Town, 1998, the revival with OG Marnie as a mom, RIP Debbie Reynolds, who passed away, unfortunately, around the same time her daughter passed away, Carrie Fisher, the late last year, terrible 2016. So a reboot of Halloween Town as a series, as Marnie as a mom. I would love that.
That'd be so interesting.
She's still really involved in that community, though. Because, they actually have a real Halloween Town, I think, in Oregon. I don't know if that's true or not. Up north somewhere.
I'm moving to Oregon next year.
You could. But what they did, I remember seeing a video where every year, what they do in that town that originally was used for Halloween Town, they recreate everything. And everybody dresses up. So you have the big pumpkin there. And if you've never seen the movie, please watch it. It's so adorable. They have, I think, 3 movies out, I would say.
I think it's like 4.
Is it 4?
I think so, because there's
3 or 4. But I would say the first 2 are probably the best, especially because at one point they recasted Marnie. And it's like, no, we noticed that's a different girl. Who are you?
I think that's in the last 2, because they had 4.
They really have 4?
I think so, because there's one where she goes off to college as well.
You're right. The first 3 has the original Marnie. And then the last one where she actually goes to college and it has that guy from High School Musical. Yeah. That's the one that has the reboot, and it's not her. We noticed, Disney. Come on. Besides that, I would say it's a great series. I'd love to see it come back in a form of having Marnie as a mom. See, that's the thing I like about reboots, essentially. Yeah. Is if they continue the story but have different characters. So don't have like a complete rehash of what we grew up on or like what the original was. Have it be like the mom's older, or this is about their kids, which I am actually, Cameron, you just reminded me, God bless you, thank you. Disney is doing that
with That's So Raven.
Yes, that's what I was gonna go with. That's So Raven. She announced it, I believe, early this year, where she's going to be going back to Disney and she's gonna be playing herself as a mom. I don't know.
Her daughter starts having visions. She's like trying to figure everything out.
So I think that'll be really cute. I think Disney Disney has done a fantastic job in that, because from what I heard, Boy Meets World rebooted a few years ago. Girl Meets World. And from what I heard, like people who watched it and have their kids watch it, they actually really like it because it's meaningful. It's about, the girls in I think they're in high school or in middle school or whatever. And they have some of the original actors coming on, but it's enough where it's it gives certain nods to the original series, but it's not enough for it to be this is the same thing we used to watch. Yeah. So I would say Disney actually has the upper hand in that department when it comes to reboots, continuing the series through the kids.
I mean, Fuller House did the same.
Okay,
yeah,
with
Fuller
the
House was
exception of
good.
Netflix, because Netflix, they're just magic people in general.
Yes.
I would say, and I know my friend Cameron is going to probably vouch me for it, despite the fact that I really enjoyed it, I would say moving away from the TV area. Something that did kind of attempt to do that and got really, really mixed responses was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Did you read it? Or no, you don't care for it?
I did not.
Did
read
not.
It.
I read
sorry.
it. I personally liked it because it was like a bit of nostalgia for me. But I also understand the criticisms in it. I understand that like some people really didn't like it because it's not what they imagined. Also, she didn't write it by herself too. She had people, the people who created the play, have their input as well, like the directors. But I would say if they really wanted to, because she keeps saying, "Oh, it's not going to turn into a movie," and everyone's like, "Yeah, it's going to turn into a movie. Watch and see." Like she stretched she stretched Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find It from like 3 movies to like 5 now. So I'm a little iffy, but I'm curious to see what happens for the future of not only that, but also the reboots that are coming down the pipeline come 2017, 2018, 2019 kind of thing. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens next, and it'll be exciting to nonetheless. I'm going to go into it kind of skeptical regardless, but it'll be something. What about you? What do you say to that?
I just have to wait and see, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I have high hopes. I also have high hopes but low expectations. Is that a good thing?
it's a thing.
It's a thing, right? Yeah. I would I don't want to be mean, but it's like, I'm skeptical, but I will hope for the best kind of thing. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Arlene, thank you so much for coming again with me on this magical journey that is our nostalgic TV shows and childhood and stuff like that. I will maybe see you again on air. Who knows, right? Who knows?
I mean, I wouldn't mind coming back.
Well, we'll see. I hope that you consider it. So before we kind of wrap up, let me kind of throw a few things out there. Again, if you guys have any suggestions on what platform you'd like to see the episodes being put up online, eventually I will grab all of them, I promise. I just need to find out the proper place I'd like to put them on. Whether that be YouTube, iTunes, whatever you guys think, let me know. I also have a Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at KCR Tishtalk. It's KCRTISH Talk. And this has been KCR College Radio. You've been listening to KCR, the award-winning sound of state. And remember, we're always online and worldwide, 24/7. Visit us at kcrlive.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Same thing with the show. Let me know if you guys want to be on air. Obviously, the studio phone 619-594-6982. Again, tweet at me if you want to be on air, or if you want to hear anything specifically on air, let me know. And I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you so much, you guys. You guys have a good night.